You're not alone. If you need someone to talk to today, please contact Crisis Services Canada by either calling them at 1-833-456-4566 all hours of the day, or you can text them at 45645 at 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern Time. Remember, you're not alone, and Crisis Services Canada is here to help. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. I'm your host, Graeme Forsyth. Coffee with Graeme is, of course, brought to you by AETi, Fabricland Winkler, and Evolve Green. And hey, look at this. We're back here on a Tuesday morning. It's been a while since we've done one of these Tuesday morning episodes due to some technical difficulties in the past, but we got no technical difficulties today as of yet. Hopefully we don't. Fingers crossed. But we're going to be talking some female hockey today. And just a note for our Twitter viewers, I changed the description on our Facebook and YouTube. It had Mike Merkin there, head coach of the Regina Rebels. He won't be joining the show today. We had some miscommunication there. So he'll probably be joining either Thursday's episode or next Tuesday's episode. But with hockey season rolling around, we're going to start covering many leagues, especially around here in Manitoba. And one league that I'm happy to announce that we'll be covering again is the MFHL. And what better way to start off some MFHL coverage with a very good head coach in the league, Eugene Kaminsky, head coach of the Winnipeg Ice, will be joining me in just a moment to talk about the team this season, the changes to this year's roster, just the expectation, and some other things as well. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming in the guest in today's edition of Coffee with Graeme, Eugene Kaminsky, head coach of the Winnipeg Ice in the MFHL, here on Coffee with Graeme. And it's Eugene Kaminsky. Eugene joined me on the show now. Eugene, it's been a while since we've talked. How's your summer been just throughout this whole year of 2021?
Well, it's since the last time we had a conversation, I think it almost feels like one long summer without any hockey going on. The summer itself has been going really well, but I have to admit, when we started getting the emails back from Hockey Winnipeg about tryouts and team coming back and starting to do the whole process again, that started really getting the juices going once again. And once we got back into that August feel, it was a good summer, but definitely more exciting summer now that hockey's coming around the corner a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. It's just going to be so exciting to see these leagues here in Canada, especially in Manitoba, roll out this year. Hopefully, we're actually going to see a full season this year, but my hopes are pretty high. I hope we see a full season of hockey, especially in the MFHL. But just looking at that, just the excitement of seeing those emails, do you feel like there was a different sense this year, just knowing what we've gone through in the past year of the 2020-2021 season and seeing those emails?
Well, absolutely. I think everybody, whether you're involved in hockey or not involved in hockey, and whether it's your family, whether it's your work, whatever it happens, I think the COVID situation has given a lot of people an opportunity to pause and take a look and reflect on where they're at, and take a look at family and all their stuff that goes on around them, and appreciate a little bit more. And I think if you follow that path all the way down to hockey, I think you can, talking to people, the pure excitement about being able to get back on the ice, I think is there. And I've talked to other people in other leagues, they're in the same situation. The idea of having players and teams and the whole process going back together, the excitement in the lobbies, I think there's going to be a different feel in hockey in general, at least for the first few months. I'm sure we'll all fall back into the same routines as we go, but I think there's going to be definitely a huge appreciation for the sport, for what everyone is doing, from the officials to the rink people to obviously the players and coaches. I think families are truly going to appreciate that hockey is back.
Yeah, for sure. Just not even speaking about players or coaches, but like you said, the people working the ice, the officials, just everyone around that's kind of behind the scenes that gets overlooked at points. Just they're going to be a big reason why we get to play hockey again this season. And as always, as they always do a great job. But yeah, just for you talking about the pandemic and how it's had so many effects on so many people, just for you throughout this past year of not being able to coach hockey, just how has it allowed you to kind of sit back and look at things differently in the sense that you might do some things differently moving forward?
Well, yeah, and I think as we move forward, I think the routines of players and rinks are going to change, obviously. So those are one things we've had discussions about, whether it's a simple thing like how soon we can arrive at the rink and how much time we're going to have at the rink. Those things are going to change. So some of those aspects are going to change. Um, Obviously, the interactions with on the bench and how you're going to deal with people, the new type of communications officers that you have involved on your team to make sure that all the protocols are being followed. Those are obviously things that are new things as a coach you have to keep in mind, and you have to have the discussions with parents and players as well. I think for myself as a coach, how things have really changed, for me more so, it's given me an opportunity to do a little bit more um, communications and connections with other coaches, attend a few more seminars, do a little bit more professional development from the hockey sense, with regards to preparing, watching a few more webinars, give myself a few more tools moving forward into this upcoming season, and see what's going to work, see what's not going to work, see what fits within my coaching style. There's obviously going to be a few different things for myself that I will see as a coach, and looking forward to that. I think I parallel it exactly to what happened as a teacher. I'm a teacher. Um,
Right.
I've been teaching, and during the pandemic, you had to change things, you had to adapt, and it made me a better teacher. Yeah, as long as you take the opportunities of that, and I think the coaching situation is not going to be any different. There's opportunities for you to be better, and I'm hoping that's what's going to happen from this.
Yeah, for sure. It's great that you've had the chance to really, dial in and take advantage of the situation that you've been given, of course, as a teacher and of course as a head coach here in hockey, coaching the Winnipeg Ice in the MFHL. But let's move into tryouts. How tryouts went? When did they happen? Just speak about the tryouts this season for the
Uh,
Ice.
we stay at Hockey Winnipeg. For those that aren't familiar with the process here in Winnipeg, so we have ourselves the Winnipeg Ice, and there's Winnipeg Avros. And with the Avros and the Ice, we do a combined tryout. So what happens is all players get basically put on the ice at the same time. And at the end of the process, the two teams get in together, and then we do basically a draft process and go back and forth until our teams are completely set up. And that started mid-August, around August 17th. We had to do a few adaptations because there were some ice issues at some of the places, but Hockey Winnipeg did a fantastic job of being able to get the players on the ice, been able to watch some of them. The unfortunate part is, and for us, I think, was that without a bantam season the previous year, you literally, as coaches, or at least for myself, you were going in a lot cold with knowing some of the players coming up. You had some idea, but you never really got a chance to really watch them during the previous season. And that's what we typically do, is we get out to watch the bantam players play as much as they can, have a good sense of what they're like game situation, watch them develop from October all the way into February. But this year it was really a true tryout, and we did a lot of watching of what players we saw on the ice, and we had to complete a large roster. We had a lot of players leaving, so for us, this was a matter of taking a look at players, their compete level, obviously their skill level, and trying to see if they were going to be a strong fit for our program.
Yeah, and we'll get into those players that you guys lost due to aging out in just a bit. But just talking about that with the uncertainty of like knowing the talent coming in beforehand, less than usual due to, there not being a season really in 2020, 2021. Just explain how impressed you were by the talent pool of players that came out to try out this year.
Very impressed. Like, I think every year we go into it a little nervous, without a doubt, because you don't know what it's going to look like, who's going to be available for you to take as an option on your team. But when we got out there, we were I'll be honest with you, after the first skate, there's a huge sigh of relief for myself and the coaching staff, saying, okay, there's a lot of talent out here. And as a matter of fact, there's going to be some players that aren't going to get an opportunity to be selected. We were very confident about that. That easily can play. And so from a coaching standpoint, we were confident going in that we were going to be able to field a very competitive team from the players that were on the ice. So yeah, we were very pleased with that. I think this is a good group of players that are coming out, the 06 group. So we're excited about it. I think it's going to be a sort for us, it's going to be a little bit like going back about 3 years where we were 4 years ago when we first started the program and trying to pick new players and start fresh and drive all the way up that like we did over the past few years. And we'll be doing that all over again.
Yeah, and this is going to be a younger team coming in this season. You guys had about 7 or 8 returning players coming into this year, most of them being second years. Just how huge is it going to be for those second year players like the Ali Staples, the Ava Bergmans, to really step up and show their leadership this year for the squad?
Well, the hard part, and because we had such a shortened season, I think the players like Ali and Ava really didn't get and Kiana and Ella didn't get a full grasp of what the AAA season was all about. They showed some obviously ability, and we weren't too concerned about that moving forward. But obviously, just by the process, they are the returning players, and they have to have a little bit more responsibility in who they are. They are not rookies anymore, and so they're going to have to take some more defined roles and be key contributors to our success. So it will be interesting to see how they handle that. From what I saw from Ava and the other girls in the tryouts, like Ella and Kiana, they seem they're ready. I'm not too worried about it. Ali, unfortunately, she had a bit of a knee injury, which she was at the POE. So we didn't get a chance to see her skate, but at the same point, I knew Ali enough from the previous season that I know what we're getting. And as a matter of fact, we gave her a letter this year to be an assistant. So we're very confident with those returning players for sure.
Yeah, great choice for sure. Ali Staples definitely going to be a huge part of this team in her next 2 seasons of playing with the Winnipeg Ice. We're going to take a quick commercial break here, Eugene. We're going to continue talking about this year's team after the break. I've been joined by the head coach of the Winnipeg Ice in the MFHL, Eugene Kaminsky, on this edition of Coffee with Graeme. Stick around. I'll be back with Eugene for more after this commercial break. Welcome back to Coffee with Graeme here on AETi Productions. We are live right now all across our network. We're live on our Facebook at AETi Productions, on our website at astdproductions.com, as well as on our Twitter at Amateur Sports TV. I want to thank everyone that's taken the time out of their Tuesday morning today so far for choosing ASTV Productions and watching Coffee with Graeme. And yeah, welcome back to the show. I've been joined by Eugene Kaminsky so far in today's episode, the one and only guest in today's episode, coach of the Winnipeg Ice in the MFHL. And yeah, we've just been talking about the tryout process, the players that they got on the team this season, some of their second years coming in. And yeah, just talking about the excitement of having hockey back here in Manitoba as the season is going to be here before we know it. But, we were talking about some second year players like Ali Staples, David Bergman, Kiana Salen, some other players as well. But, you know, you got a player like Maya Eamon this season, or Maya Eamon, as I should say, who's established herself as one of the top players in the league. Just how excited are you to see what Maya is going to be able to do here in her third and final season in the league?
I'm very excited. We know the player we have in Maya, and we've watched her development for many years. As a matter of fact, I know in our last year, when I say ours, mine and Jessica's last year of coaching Bantam with the twins, Maya was on our team at that time as a minor Bantam, and she had the ability at that point. We saw that she was a strong player, and we were excited when we had the opportunity a few years ago to be able to select her to be on our team and watch her grow and develop into a player that she continues to become better and better and better. I know having a conversation with her not too long ago, she talked about how she was always sort of missed out on some of the all-star selections when she was in Bantam, and she missed out on the opportunity to be on the Team Manitoba U16 team. But watching her grow and now secure a spot on the University of Alberta Pandas, and she's just been selected to be on Team Manitoba's provincial team for the Nationals this year. It is just, as a coach, very rewarding to be able to watch a player like that become so dominant in her position. And she knows going in that there's going to be a lot of teams that are going to be working very hard to shut her down. She's going to be going up against some of the best defensemen in that any team is going to put up against her. We're excited that we have players that are going to be able to complement her, so she's not going to be out there alone. Like, we're very eager to set her up with a bunch of other players, and not only is she going to benefit from that, the other players are definitely going to benefit from Maya. So we're excited about this year for sure for Maya. I think she needs to. We talked about a few things that she wants to get better at, and that's what I love about this player. She is never satisfied with where she's at. She knows she can be better, and that's just a great opportunity to coach someone like that all the time.
Yeah, for sure. And just speaking about that, always looking for that opportunity to get better with her skill set and just the pedigree she has. That's just a sign of a great player. Never satisfied with where they're at, always looking to make improvements in their game. Talking about the roster from last year, coming into this year, you're losing a good chunk of that roster. Of course, both goaltenders are gone, and Morgan Baker and Rylan Lupke. You lose your captain, Sarah McLennan, Martina Barclay, Regan Udall gone on forward, as well as Juliana Duma, Brooke Oxenforth, and Kate Stewart, as well as Sandrine Garofalo. And you also lost Tatum Nicholson to the Winnipeg Avers. Just speaking about it, how huge of a hole is this going to leave for this team? Obviously huge, but how are you looking for the players that you brought in to kind of fill those roles a bit?
Like, there's no disputing the fact that that lineup that you just talked about and those players that we lost and had been with our program for many years was a great lineup. Like, last year, we know that we were all poised and set to significantly challenge for the provincial title and maybe even go further. Our team was set up that way from the goalies you just mentioned with Morgan and Ryland. We were poised to have one of the better tandems going into the league. Our defensive core with Sarah anchoring them, like, we were ready. And there's no doubt about it. And COVID is COVID, and that's, you move from that. It was disappointing, but I that is a strong lineup that you just talked about. There's no opportunity that we're going to be able to say that these players that we're getting right now are going to step in right away and just player for player substitute them. That's not going to happen. It's going to take some time for these players to develop and grow.
Right.
And 3 years from now, when we have this conversation again, Graeme, we are going to talk about the players that are on this team, whether it's Annika Russell, Haley Joe Braun, or Alicia Ross, and I apologize. There's so many. I don't want to go through them all, but those will be the players that we'll talk again. Hey, you're losing a great crop of players, how and we're excited about it. And we know it's not. We don't want to get the pressure on them to say that they have to replace these players. It'll take some time. We recognize that, but what we're excited about is, and I don't like using the word potential all the time, but these girls have a strong potential to be as strong and if not better than those players that have just left. So yes, tough to lose those players, not to have a full season with them that we had planned for a few years ago. But again, we're excited to start this process all over again and watch these players develop and grow to the ones that we've been able to move on to other colleges.
Yeah, like 4 rookies up front, 3 on the back end, and 3 in goal. Just speak about this rookie class that you guys have selected this year, just the strengths that you see in this group.
Well, and I'm going to group them all together, and I apologize. I got some cheat notes on the side here for myself because, like I said, we got 10 players, and I would feel terrible if I missed anybody on this conversation. But I'm going to do a quick run through from players that we have that are coming in, and I'll group them a little bit. So from our back end, we got Brianna Compte and Meg Farmer coming in. New to the AAA program. They're going to be fantastic for us. And Kylie Coxwater, another player on the D end, that are all very competent players that we watched in the AAA tryout. They're not huge players, but they're smart players. We watched them in the trial process. They see the ice very well. And that's probably the hardest thing as a coach to be able to coach, is to give people hockey sense. I wouldn't want to suggest if you have it, you have it. If you don't, you don't. You can develop it for sure. But when you already have it, it's a lot easier to have that conversation with these players, especially on the D end. Defense is probably one of the high stress positions that you can have in hockey. Obviously, goalie being the other one. But defense have so much responsibility in not only being able to help their goalie get pucks out, but get pucks up to the forward, and obviously support forwards in the neutral zone or even in the offensive zone. So with those 3 coming in, we're very excited about it, with some of the girls that are coming back to us, with Brooklyn and Megan, and obviously Allie. It's going to be a really nice mix on our D-core. We anticipate there's going to be mistakes, like with rookies. There's always going to be mistakes, but that's what we do as coaches, and we're going to help them through that. We're not expecting them to walk in here and be Norris Trophy winners right away. It's going to take some time for them to develop there. And then our forward group, like I think out of this year, and I know speaking with Ashley, like the forward group is very strong this year. There's a lot of good forwards. She was able to select a few strong forwards on her squad as well and we did. We had to replace 5 forwards, so we were nervous going in. But when everything was said and done, and the dust had settled, we took a look, and literally before we left the table, Jess already had the lineup set up, and we looked at the lineup of our 3 lines, and we went, "Wow, I'm very happy with this. We're very pleased with where we're going." So like we had Annika Russell, Steph Jacob, who played with us last year for a couple of games coming up, one of the stronger players in that group. Alicia Ross, just a hard-nosed player that we watched her play, and she battles really hard. And all these girls battle really hard. Again, like Annika is another solid player, that she's sort of that power forward type individual. Really goes hard for that. Haley, we knew of Haley. We didn't get a chance to really watch her skate during the tryouts because of an injury, but we knew of Haley Braun, and everything that had been talked about her is her ability, her skill set is very high. So we're excited about that. And then we were very fortunate to get Callie Hilderman, who had previously played for St. Mary's Academy. And she's in her grade 12 year. So not only are we getting a highly skilled individual, we're getting a veteran player who has played at a high competitive level. I also was very fortunate to coach Callie in Bantam the one year when we won provincials. I know what she brings to the table. She just fits in really well with our coaching style and the development of our program. So our forward group, without a doubt, I'm not losing any sleep over, that's for sure. I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah, for sure. And so you should be. Like it seems like you guys got some, like you said, you don't want to throw around that word a lot, but some potential on this team, like players like a Haley Braun, Annika Russell, Stephanie Jacob getting more opportunity this year. And then you look at the D end and then the back end as well on in goal. Just seems like this is going to be a very exciting team to watch this season because we don't really know what we're going to expect with how young this team is. So what would you say the expectation is for this team after you guys are in like a rebuilding year compared to other years? Probably the first year since the first year that you guys have been in the league that you guys have truly had to rebuild. Just what would you say is the expectation for this younger group heading into the season after the type of season you guys had last season?
I think we have to pull back and we have to exactly what you say, and it's sort of a rebuild and retool, if you will. We've gone through this process before. There are going to be a few question marks, absolutely, and as coaches, we're going to take a look at that. We're not going to be throwing these players to the wolves. I think the biggest, I wouldn't want to say it's a concern, but it's definitely an unknown, is our two goalies that are coming in. We got Jordan Nepeniak Sargent and Laura Maliza, who've never played AAA. Uh, Jordan's a year older than Laura, and Laura played AA, and then so did Jordan. But from what we saw from the tryouts, we're very confident in their ability for sure. They have a strong work ethic, and you can see that they've had some good training moving forward. And so we're excited about that. And so we connect them with our coach, goalie coach Rachel Dick. So we're excited about that. I know Rachel's excited to be working with them. We've been fortunate over the years to have hardworking goalies, and I anticipate that Jordan and Laura are going to continue that route and see where that development goes. And I think we can appreciate it. There's going to be some struggles, and we experienced that in our very first year with when we had the goalies there with Morgan, and in our first year with Emily Shipham as well. But I think we're going to be cautious about this year. We cautiously optimistic. We're looking at maybe I would anticipate we'll be in the middle of the pack when everything is said and done. And once we get into there and we want to grow and develop, I'm not too worried about October, November so much in what we're doing and the wins and losses at that point. I want to see where the growth and development is going to be, because if we take a look at where we were in our first year, I think we had 1 win and 6 losses in those first 7 games. And then we ran the table after that, basically only losing a couple of games for the rest of our season. And then went our first playoff round and got us into the semis. Not suggesting we'll even go to that far, but I think there's you never know what happens. Like there's some strong teams, but we just got to get to the playoffs. And once we get there, all bets are off at that point.
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, you never do know because, like you said, in that first season when you guys were a new team coming into the league, selecting a whole new group of players that really haven't played with each other before. For most of them, that team ends up making it to the semifinals, and then you guys end up making the finals in the second year. So definitely going to be exciting to see what type of results your team can yield this year in the league. You guys. Start your preseason against Interlake September 18th at East End Arena. Just hearing that first exhibition game
Mm-hmm.
of the season after not having any hockey for what it seems like forever. Just what's the excitement like for not only you, but the whole coaching staff at this point to roll out this team for the first time?
Well, I think like we talked earlier, the excitement level is huge. I think for parents and players and coaches and again officials and all that's going to be involved, the opportunity to get back into a game setting, the opportunity to watch these players step on the ice with all the same uniform on and wearing that ice logo is really exciting. It will be one of those situations you're sitting back and going, holy smokes, it's been a while, and it won't take too long. I think once we get through a couple of shifts, I think all that has been in the past, I wouldn't suggest is going to be forgotten, but it won't be dwelled on anymore. And I think the players will step up, the coaches will step back into their routines. And like anything, the new players are going to have to get used to coaches. The coaches will have to get used to the new players. But I think just getting that first exhibition game over with, to be able to say, hey, we did it, we're back, and let's keep moving forward. And then once we get the season going, it's just going to continue to start rolling and rolling. So yeah, it's very exciting to be able to have that opportunity to get back into game situations for sure.
Yeah, and I feel like it's going to be even more exciting when you guys open up the regular season on October 2nd against the Winnipeg Avros, of course, your crosstown rivals. They're going to be more experienced than you guys this year, just in terms of the players that they got coming in. But, just for the new players on this team, how excited do you feel that they're going to be to experience that crosstown Winnipeg rivalry in the MFHL for the first time for their very first regular season game?
You know what? It'll definitely be trial by fire for sure. It is going to be like you said, the Avros have a very well experienced team. They've picked up a couple of good players as well to their program. And I would anticipate they will probably be the number one team this year in the league. I think with their goaltending, their D-core is probably going to be one of the best that you're going to be going up against. They have a lot of strong forwards. So like I said, their talent pool is huge, and I think this is their year for sure. So it will be a good test from day one. And the nice thing about it, I think, once we get that first game over with, for the new players, I think they're going to be more nervous just playing a new game. I don't think they're going to worry too much who they're playing against. They're going to be more worried about what they have to do for their own side and trying to figure out all the little things that we've been talking about. That one will be, once we get that one over with, I think they will be a little bit more settled. And it's just like anything, you get that first experience out of the way, and I think they become a little bit more accustomed to what's going on. And we will talk about that with them. It's the speed and the time that you have and you don't have. Like a lot of these girls that are coming from Bantam, especially, they're very skilled. It was very easy for them to create a lot of time and space for themselves. What they're going to find here now is they're not going to have that much, and a lot of their players are going to have to be a lot more quick. But that will come. Every player's gone through it. So again, one of the things we do as coaches, just reaffirm to them that this is a process. We're not expecting you to be champs right from day one. It's going to take a time. And once they understand that, then it becomes a lot easier for them to grow and develop.
Well, it's going to be so exciting to see how this year's Winnipeg Ice squad is going to do in the MFHL, and it's going to be really exciting to get to cover not only your team, but every team throughout the league this season. Once again, Eugene, thank you so much for taking the time and joining me on this Tuesday morning on Coffee with Graeme. Always a pleasure.
Well, thank you, Graeme, and thank you for taking the time and interest into the league and to the teams. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, for sure. No problem there, Eugene. We'll talk in the future for sure. I'll probably talk to some of your players coming up this season. And yeah, we'll let you go now. That was Eugene Kaminsky, head coach of the Winnipeg Ice in the MFHL on this edition of Coffee with Graeme. Stick around, more Coffee with Graeme after the break, as I'll have some final words on this edition of the show. Stick around.
Why go solar? Solar is better than ever. Our revolutionary design and inverter equipment with the latest in solar panel technology for the ultimate in-home and business security. That's right, I said security. Grid security and security of your home are linked. Fortify your future today with a battery backup system. No maintenance, quiet running. Did you know in Manitoba, grid-connected, off-grid, and battery backup systems are 100% right off in the year you purchase for any company or farm? Do you want to back up your internet, keep your tills running, and the lights on? We can install a system that is right for you, with battery backup fully capable of taking on all those essential loads and keeping you running. When you call our experts at Evolve Green, ask about getting your free energy audit today. Call or email today to find out what system works best for you. 1-866-5EVOLVE or support@evolvegreen.ca. Also, be sure to check out our website at www.evolvegreen.ca.
Welcome back to Coffee with Graeme on ASTV. Eugene Kaminsky, head coach of the Winnipeg Ice in the MFHL, joined me on today's edition of the show to kick off our MFHL coverage here on our Tuesday episodes of Coffee with Graeme. To go along with our MFHL coverage this year, we're also going to be including some Saskatchewan female U18 AAA Hockey League coverage as well. Of course, I mentioned in the intro, I was supposed to have Mike Merck, head coach of the Regina Rebels from that league, on the show today, but we got our times mixed up. And yeah, well, a funny story about that. But yeah, we're going to have Mike on either Thursday's show or next Tuesday's show to make up for it. So stay tuned for that. And other than female hockey leagues here in Manitoba, we're going to be covering some other leagues too, like the MMJHL, some Manitoba U18 AAA Hockey League coverage, some AA hockey here in Manitoba, and some other great leagues as well. And yeah, I'm so excited for the season to start. It's going to be exciting to see how this Winnipeg Ice team truly does. Of course, led by, in my opinion, Maya Eamon. And if she pans out like her potential is suggesting, Ali Staples on that back end, as well as some other of their returning players as well. And yeah, their season starts on October 2nd. There's going to be a lot of MFHL to talk about in the upcoming month here in September, just to get into the spirit of things in the season. And yeah, can't wait to cover almost every, or if not every, one of the teams in the league this season. But yeah, that's going to do it for this edition of Coffee with Graeme. I want to thank Eugene Kaminsky for coming on and being the guest in today's episode. I also want to thank you, the viewer, for taking the time out of your Tuesday morning and choosing ASTV Productions to watch this show, as well as to our sponsors of Coffee with Graeme and Fabricland Winkler, AETi, and Evolve Green for sponsoring yet another edition of the show. And other than Coffee with Graeme, I want to tell you guys about my other show, Rise and Shine Manitoba. We canceled the show yesterday due to me feeling under the weather, but I'm feeling a lot better now, and we've decided to air that episode tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Central Daylight Time. So if you want to check out Manitoba's show, which is Rise and Shine Manitoba, you can check out that new episode of this week tomorrow at 10 a.m. Central Daylight Time on our Facebook at ASTV Productions, on our website at astvproductions.com. And since we're live, you'll also be able to catch that one on Twitter at Amateur Sports TV. And yeah, we're going to have some great guests on tomorrow's show. Hopefully you guys take the time to tune in. But if you don't, that's okay too. And yeah, Coffee with Graeme will be airing for the next episode this Thursday, coming up in 2 days at 10 a.m. Central Daylight Time. Can't wait to have some more hockey leagues for you guys covered in that episode in terms of the teams. Maybe we'll get a president from the league on, who knows. But yeah, that episode goes at 10 a.m. Central Daylight Time, an all new edition of Coffee with Graeme on Thursday on Facebook, on our website, and on our Twitter as well. But or not our Twitter, because we won't be live with that show. So on our Facebook and on our website. But yeah, until tomorrow, folks, or if you just catch the next edition of Coffee with Graeme, might see you tomorrow on Rise and Shine Manitoba. But if I don't, until next time, I've been your host of Coffee with Graeme, Graeme Forsyth, signing off now. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, folks. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you next time. Peace.